I hope the shift around in time doesn't inconvenience too many people. Hopefully most of you are watching this at your leisure and not live, so you're not waking up at 05. And for everyone else who is waking up early to be on this call or to be on this live stream, thanks. So I'll try to make it worth your while. All right, so third stanza of The Art of Peace, and then I'll get into the title of it all. Okay, here's the third stanza. All things, material and spiritual, originate from one source and are related as if they were one family. The past, present, and future are all contained in the life force. The universe emerged and developed from one source, and we evolved through the optimal process of unification and harmonization. Unification and harmonization. Quite a statement. But let's armor down first. Let's get settled first, and then we'll talk about it. And we'll talk about why I picked up another dog's crap and how this relates to beating COVID-19. All right. So take the time to get yourself squared away. And the neatest part about getting yourself squared away is you are taking agency over your present situation and trying to make it as comfortable as you can. Talked about this yesterday. You're the only one that can do that. Other people can give you guidance, but other people can't do it for you. So it's your job. But you get to choose, right? So what makes you feel the best? What makes you feel the most comfortable? Get there, and then we'll start. First bell is really about establishing your understanding of the safety of the environment that you're in. So, you're looking around and you're mostly just assessing where you are. If there's a whole lot going on, don't close your eyes. But if everything's basically still and predictable, close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, open your ears. What do you hear? And now you can start playing curiosity games. Curiosity games capture the mind's attention. And the mind goes, ooh, what's that? And if you ask your mind, say, mind, can you hear more than one thing at the same time? The mind will say, oh yeah, sure. Okay, well, how far away are those two things that you hear from each other? How far away are those two things from you? If you were to triangulate, create kind of a triangle between you, the first object, the second object, and then back to you, what would that look like in your head? Play a little game, just a little game to kind of get the mind settled. I do this with my kids all the time, find little ways to add interest to the moment so their little monkey minds just jumping around are like, ooh, what? Smell. Your smell, just smell is such a powerful sense. Smell will give you all kinds of indicators. And if there's nothing showing up in your sense of smell, what you're doing is you're basically acknowledging that your central nervous system is tracking all the kinds of things that could potentially be a threat. And if there's nothing going on, then there's just an emptiness. There's just a sense of like safety, right? So safety is the absence of threat. And so safety is just zero, right? It's just reliable. I can build off of this. You can do the same thing with taste. There's nothing worrisome in your mouth. It's just calm and quiet in there. Sense of touch. There's no overwhelming temperature. There's no overwhelming things coming at you. You're not overwhelmed by bugs. Right? These are all things that, in their absence, just create kind of ground zero. Right? So you're just building ground zero consciously. And then from there, you go from ground zero into the body. So the body is that next. The body is the next place that you take your attention. And so you start with your ground. And this is where, instead of getting signals from the outside world and assessing safety, you're getting signals from the inside experience, the inside world, and you're assessing comfort and ease. So the comfort of your relationship to gravity. So how are you dealing with your relationship to gravity? Are you in a chair? Are you seated on a cushion? Are you seated on pillows? How are you assessing that relationship to your ground? Vestibular balance. If your balance was all jacked up, if your ground was all unstable, if you were on something that was about to fall over, you could not settle. The positioning, the situation's not optimal. You can't build off of it. You have to address it. You got to get back to zero before you can get to safety, get to stability. So that's ground. Once that's established, okay, you're 100% squared away with your ground, everything's fine there, then you start building your alignment and building your comfort with your alignment. So first you go to your pelvis and you situate your pelvis in its most comfortable position. And then from there you move into your core. And inside the core you're thinking, okay, what's going on around my guts? What's going on around my sides? How's the lumbar region of my spine? And if you have a back issue, or an area of your spine that really hurts, make sure you try the different styles of sitting. I'll put them up on the Facebook page. Different styles of sitting that afford different kind of comfort levels. And so everyone has their own unique relationship to their back and to their core. So find what works for you and don't just sit there in pain and suck it up. Find what works for you. And it may be you want to lay down, it may be you want to sit in a chair, it may be you want to switch styles, whatever the case may be. But make that call. Make that call. And it could be different every day. So it's okay. It's more important than getting it perfect every time is the act of doing it. So you're essentially going into a situation that has sensation, has something to listen to, pay attention to, something that gives you feedback, and you're choosing to participate. That's the key. That's the key, because by choosing to participate, you're acknowledging your role in the process. And also you're establishing the capacity to learn, because your body's not dumb. Your body's telling you different things in whatever way it can as a form of participation, as a form of communication. And your job over time is to develop that language and then cultivate it into the most harmonious relationship you can develop. And kind of what's said in the Art of Peace is, as you harmonize that relationship, you get to build off of that. And so you go into the heart space. That's shoulder blades. Shoulder blades connect to throat, face, top of the head. Now, you're harmonizing as much as you can, creating this optimal alignment as best that you can in order to keep kind of optimizing your fullest expression, right? That's what I meant by that. You know, the more you can create that soft alignment, the more you can spend time kind of getting yourself as comfortable as you can, the more breathing makes sense. The more kind of settling into the breath, third bell, the more third breath has value, because all these things are built on top of other things. You got to have safety, then you got to have alignment. And then once you have safety and alignment, then your full breath is something that you fostered in creating. You played a role. You created that full breath as it's kind of expressed through how your alignment's organized, your ground's organized, your safety's organized. And to your central nervous system, all these things are basically saying through your nervous system, essentially through your sensational highway, the vagus nerve, everything's good. Everything's okay. And so there's opportunity here for full breathing, breathing in, feeling the top of the breath, pausing momentarily and then letting it all go. Breathing in and breathing out. Now let's do 3 rounds of breath in a row, and each round get a little bigger on your inhale. By the third breath, it's the biggest inhale you could possibly do. Now just sit still for 2 minutes. 2 minutes, just absolutely still. If your mind wanders, come back to the breath, come back to the breath. And the key is just to keep coming back to the breath. Don't worry if your mind wanders, totally normal. Just notice it, come back to the breath. Notice it, come back to the breath. So another way to think about the art of peace is the present moment is the only moment that action can take place. Everything else is your thoughts and imagination. You are not your thoughts and you're not your imagination. You are the driver. So, how does this relate to this goal of fighting COVID-19 with the art of peace? Well, to fight COVID-19, you got to just stay away from it. You can't like kick it, shoot it, punch it. You can't burn it. You can't blow it up. You can't attack it. The way you interact with it is by staying away from it, and then it just can't eat, and then it dies. Like it has to have a host. It has to have human tissue. It has to have human lungs. And without those things, it just can't do anything. It becomes just this unbelievably small little virus. And that's it. But the challenge that human beings face is that human beings are social creatures. And so all of our interactions that kind of feed our lives are inhibited by the fact that we have to stay away from the virus. We can't give it fuel. And so in order to not give it fuel, we have to stay away from each other. Well, part of what our lives have developed around over generations is patterns and roles and relationships with each other that are completely disrupted by this. And so this complete disruption offers a real jolt to our sense of safety and our sense of community. And so we have to challenge that. And how do we challenge that? Well, we challenge that by finding more ways to feel safe and feel connected in our own houses and with our own families, and then inside of our kind of little bubbled communities, right? So your housing complex, your apartment complex, your neighborhood. And all these things are kind of where we have to live with each other without interacting with each other too much. And so it's tricky, right? It's a tricky thing to kind of not be able to do the typical things that you normally do in order to stay safe. And so there's a conflict there. Well, part of how I felt safe was by interacting with my church or interacting with my sports team or interacting with school or going to my pool or going to the basketball courts. All these kinds of things are all things that facilitated a sense of safety and meaning in our lives. Well, we don't have them now. We can't do them. So what do? Well, what we have to do is we have to foster new ways of feeling safe, and we have to cultivate them, and we have to cultivate them in an environment that's just different. It's just different. So it's safety at home. It's feeling a sense of connection at home. And so, what do we do when, all that gets just kind of bored and mundane and all this other kind of stuff? Well, that's really where this practice can be useful. It's really where the practice of meditation and slowing down can be useful. But, while we can cultivate, right, as it says, an optimum process of unification and harmonization, we come together in the community that we can, right, on Zoom and social media and stuff like that, and we optimize it as best we can. So you've kind of figured out how to do this, right? Now I want to optimize it, right? Optimize it, make it a little bit better. Well, that's why I picked up another dog's poop. It's why you might pick up trash when you're on your walk. You might drop off someone's newspaper. You might whatever. And the reason why you do it is because that's a real expression of your safety. Your sense of feeling safe and your sense of feeling kind of competent in this space gives you the opportunity to support someone else feeling safe. I mean, my dog, for whatever, well, not for whatever reason, he smells some other dog's feces, and so he's like, okay, now it's time for me. So, I mean, it was just like one of those things where it's like, oh, gross. So he, of course, smells this other dog's poop, and he drops his own. So I've got this little pink bag, and freaking, I'm picking his poop up, and I'm okay with picking up his poop, but then there's this other pile of poop next to it, and I'm just kind of thinking like, ugh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to pick this poop up. But I did it anyway, and it was gross. It was someone else's dog's poop, and oof. So I picked it up, and then my bag was just huge, and we were at the beginning of the walk, right? We were at the beginning of the walk, so I had to kind of sacrifice part of the walk to carry the poop and smell it. Ugh. But I just had this vision of what it would feel like in front of my yard if somebody's dog just took a dump and that person did pick it up, and that would bother me. That would bother me, and that would mess with my sense of safety. And so I figured, if I don't want it to happen to me, I'd hate it to happen to me. So let me help with someone else. And so that's like the essence of the practice, right? You solve problems before they start. And so if you have any intentions today around, feeling safe, but part of what feeling safe is not just like zero, right? It's harmony, right? It's finding a way to do a little thing that supports someone else. You may never see it, it's like a random act of kindness. You may never see its impact, but it's impactful. So I'll leave you with that. That's how we're going to fight COVID, right? We're not going to see each other, but we're going to pick up each other's dog poop. All right, Armor Down. Tomorrow's back at 7. See me yawning? Yep, tomorrow's back at 7. Wednesdays are going to be at 6 because my community mindfulness group is at 7. So you guys get 4 days at 7, 1 day at 6. They get 1 day at 7. It's fair. All right, see you tomorrow.